Hi, my name is Rhonda Jones, and welcome to this 4-part Christian meditation video series. If you are a new or seasoned Christian meditator, this course will give you a greater understanding of the value of Christian meditation to restore your peace of mind, eliminate stress, and help you to draw closer to God. Each video is between 10 and 20 minutes long, and I hope that you will give each one your undivided attention. Every few days you'll receive the next video in the series. So if you're ready, let's get started. First of all, I'm going to start off by telling you a little bit about me. I am the creator of the award-winning website, The Christian Meditator, which I started over 12 years ago. I have created over 25 Christian meditation and affirmation CDs. I am also the author of the 12-week personal development program titled Help Me God Change My Life, and the author of the devotional ebook A Date with God. I also host Christian meditation retreats that help believers unplug and deepen their Christian meditation practice. You can see that I also have a wide variety of other interests that promote health and wellness. So how did I get started in this ministry? About 15 years ago, I suffered from a deep and debilitating depression. I did all the things that traditional medicine tells you to do. I got on antidepressants, I went to counseling, I prayed all the time for God to heal me. But no matter what I did, I was not getting any lasting results. I was just about to accept that this was going to be my fate and that I was going to live with this deep and dark heaviness hovering over me for the rest of my life. Then one day when my children were in junior high school, I was sitting in my green minivan waiting for them to get out of school. While sitting there, I remember just how wrenched I was with emotional pain. It was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Then, I'm not really sure why, but I just started doing these deep breathing exercises. And with each exhalation, I would just say silently, I release pain. I kept doing it over and over. I began to notice that every time I exhaled, I let go of a little bit of that emotional pain I was holding on to. In the course of about 15 minutes, there was a peace and stillness that I had not experienced in such a long time. In the midst of the quiet, I heard this inner voice, and I believe it was the voice of God. He said to me, Rhonda, the reason that you are so depressed are because of the thoughts that you are thinking. Well, up until that time, I really wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to my thoughts. But as I sat there in the quiet, I began to observe the record that was playing in my head. I noticed that the thoughts that I was thinking were very debilitating and destructive. It was no wonder I was depressed. I was telling myself many horrible things. From that point on, I became an observer of my thoughts. When a negative thought began to surface, I quickly squashed it. I continued to do deep breathing, and I began to spend time dwelling in the peace and presence of God. In the course of almost about 3 months, I went from being totally bombarded with negative thinking to eliminating it almost altogether, and as a consequence, the depression lifted as well. Was it easy? Absolutely not. It definitely took time, persistence, and effort. It was a lot of hard work, but I was so thankful that I found tools to regain my peace of mind. Several years later, I began to investigate meditation even further. I had friends who were also suffering from depression, and I knew I had stumbled upon something that was life-changing and could help. This led me to creating my first Christian meditation CD, which was titled Control Negative Thoughts. Because I was a Christian, I wanted my CDs to integrate meditation with Scripture. I wanted to make meditation palatable to believers. I knew that many Christians saw meditation as New Age or anti-Christian, but I learned through study that meditation is encouraged throughout the Bible and that even Jesus spent time alone just with the Father. And that was pretty much how I got started with Christian meditation and relaxation. You'll see as we go through this video series just how Christian meditation can enhance and heal your life. At the bottom of this video, there's a little space for sharing. Please list any types of meditations that you have tried in the past or maybe that you are doing now. In order to create a foundation for this course, I need to talk a little bit about fear and where it originates. It may not make sense now, but I will be tying it all together as we go through this series together. I believe I can best answer this question by telling you a story about my grandson Tyler. When Tyler was about 4 years old, in an effort to get him to clean up his room, my daughter told him that if he kept his room as messy as he was keeping it, that there were going to be mice in his room and that they were going to hurt him. I know, what a terrible thing to tell a 4-year-old. Well, he literally took it to heart. In the beginning, he started keeping his room clean, but another thing happened. He would not sleep in that room from that day on. He ended up sleeping with my daughter because he was petrified that there were mice in his room, and no matter what I said, nothing was going to convince him otherwise. I remember taking him to YouTube and showing him little mice on the computer in an effort for him to see that they were not these menacing creatures that were going to do him any harm. Over and over I told him his mom was not telling the truth, but he would not believe me. On another occasion, in order to keep him out of the bushes, my daughter told him that there were spiders in there. Yeah, I know. Well, the same thing happened. He was now afraid to go near any bushes. I even remember going inside bushes and saying, "Come on, Tyler, come in here with me." But he would not budge. He was so frightened. The reason I'm telling you this story is to help you understand the power of the subconscious mind and its great influence over us. Well, I am glad to say that Tyler is now 10 years old and has outgrown both of these fears, but has adopted new ones. In fact, when we are influenced by a spirit of fear, it can control and debilitate us in many different areas, all the way into adulthood. There are so many fears that people have and often don't even know why they are suffering from these things. Oftentimes, it stems from something that happened in childhood. Psychologists say that by the time that we are 8 years old, that pretty much we have adopted a whole philosophy and perspective on life. In our early childhood years, we are just like little sponges taking in everything. And at that moment, we are not really able to discern between what is good and bad and what is true and false. So we just take it all in as gospel. Later in life, these fears, false mindsets, negative perceptions, and internal hurts and pains become mental and emotional weeds that choke out the love, peace, and joy of God in our lives. At the end of the video, take a few moments to list some of the fears that you have struggled with in the past or are currently struggling with. What mental weeds are you cultivating regularly? As I stated just a few moments ago, we can look at fears buried in our subconscious mind as the weeds that have taken over our mental and emotional gardens. If you know anything about weeds, it doesn't take much to make them grow. In fact, if we don't periodically pull them up, they will take over. We've all heard about the parable of the sower. Some seeds did fall on good soil and grow, but because of the cares of the world, they were choked out and became unfruitful. Let's look at some common weeds found in our mental and emotional gardens. At the bottom of this video, take a moment to type in some of the weak thoughts that you struggle with regularly. Understanding the mind. These subconscious fears can unknowingly hinder us by holding us back, sabotaging our success, and keeping us in a cycle of defeat, and we don't even know why most of the time. Then there is also the conscious mind, and this is our working mind. That is the mind that we use when we go to work, solve problems, make decisions, and analyze things. We are much more aware of our conscious mind because we are constantly using it. Therefore, as I go on, it's important for you to understand the difference between these two minds and what roles they play in our healing. What does the Bible say about the mind? Renewing our mind is critical to our Christian walk. We are told to cast down every thought and imagination that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. Let's look at some scriptures that clearly illustrate the condition of our mind and our thoughts. You just might be surprised. Pause the video and take a few moments to read through the scriptures listed. Well, we've come to the end of part 1 of this video series, and I hope you enjoyed it. In part 1, I shared with you a little bit about my journey towards Christian meditation, the power of the subconscious mind, where fear originates, and what the Bible has to say about the condition of our mind. In part 2, which you'll receive in a few days, you'll learn about the Mind Committee, and we all have one, the mind and the body connection, and how our subconscious mind and thoughts interfere with healing. Can you do me one last thing before you go? If you enjoyed part 1 of this series, please leave a comment below. God bless you and have a great day, and I look forward to connecting with you again in a few days. Hi, my name is Rhonda Jones, and I hope you enjoyed part 1 of my video series, It's All in Your Mind. And many of us suffer from stinking thinking. In fact, our mind is not only sabotaging our life, but our relationship with God. If you want to hear more about this series, go to my website, thechristianmeditator.com, and you can listen to parts 2 through 4 for absolutely free. And there's a link in the description below where you can sign up right away and get instant access to this series. Also, as you're listening to the series, please leave some comments below the video. I'd really appreciate that. So again, visit thechristianmeditator.com and learn how you can take authority over your mind today or starting today. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.